Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? Like I said, whenever I do videos, I never know what's going to happen next. Because sometimes I do things, it all depends on the day. A little impromptu, or if it's something's time sensitive. I found out today from my friend John Walker, another Netflix special, because I just put the Star Trek episode of The Toys That Made Us on my review of that on at 3 o'clock. And at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be doing this. And John was telling me on Facebook, he said the Steve Martin and Martin Short special on Netflix is good. I said, I didn't know they had that. I didn't know they had a special on there. And I want to check out. And then he mentioned for the Star Trek one, he said that he watched a Star Trek episode of The Toys That Made Us. He said he had the Mego Spock, the Enterprise bridge, the phaser with the reflective base, and a phaser that shot disc when he was a kid. That's awesome. That's awesome. And let me go back to this. And that goes back to the other thing I did at Toys and Made Us. But the special that I'm reviewing now is, I had to look it up because it's kind of low for you to forget. I guess Martin Short and Steve Martin are doing a tour together. And Netflix filmed it and made it into a special. And it's called Steve Martin and Martin Short, An Evening You Will Forget for the Rest of Your Life. Now, I didn't know about it. And it starts off with Steve Martin coming out. And he said, I know these tickets were expensive, but you get to see two people or it's not just to see two people. It's like it showcases a lot of other people, you know what I mean? And making jokes about it. And he introduces Martin Short, and they rip off each other. Kind of like do barbs and insults to each other. They've known each other since the movie The Three Amigos. I remember seeing that. Actually, I saw that when I was over at Uncle Bob's and Aunt Cassie's, because I remember my sister and I rented that. We saw it like a few months before I went in the Army, after I got out of high school. But I came out in, 86 or 87? I can't remember exactly the year it came out. I think 86, but I didn't see that until a year or so later. And the one thing with that, they met each other and they became friends, and they decided to do a tour together. And I grew up with both comedians. And I'll do I'll mention how I found out about Steve Martin and Martin Short a little bit. But I really grew up with Steve Martin and Martin Short in the 80s. And this was very entertaining. The writing was very smart and sharp and spot on. And they had like a little slideshow of like photos and stuff. And they were ripping off each other, but I think this would definitely get an award for great writing. It's really good. And very funny. What was I going to say about that? Like I said, they found out about the Three Amigos. And then they sit down and they kind of have like an interview, talk about life experiences, kind of. And it's very interesting. That's some of the best stuff right there. And then it gets a little different. Martin Short, they both do solo stuff. Martin Short goes to the piano, does a bunch of stuff. And it gets a little bizarre. But it's always funny, but a little bizarre. And then Steve Martin comes out, and he talks about the banjo, and he does some stuff, some jokes and stuff, and then he does performance on the banjo and stuff. It's really interesting, and there's a little surprise. I don't want to give it away. And then he goes out talking, and then there's something very bizarre happens with the kilt, a Scottish thing with the bagpipe skit with Martin Short, and that was very bizarre. Funny, but very bizarre. I'm not going to lie. And ends up they come back down and they start singing back and forth, and it's really interesting. It's really entertaining, very funny. I think the first half is stronger than the second half. The second half goes down a little bit, but it's still very good and well worth watching on Netflix. I want to thank my buddy John for letting me know about it, and I give it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think you'll like it too. And usually, like a special like this would probably only be on on PBS or something like that, like a special performance episode. I don't know if they would edit a little bit of swearing, because I remember sometimes PBS doesn't edit swearing. Oh, okay, cool. And as far as finding out about Steve Martin, I remember as a kid, really early, he did a lot of TV specials because his humor was pretty clean, but very zany and wacky and irreverent. And in '78, he had the song King Tut. He did the song King Tut. one of my favorite songs of all time as a kid. And they used to play it on the radio. I love that song. He was on Saturday Night Live. He was on the Muppet Show. He was in the Muppet movie. And then he had his first starring role in a movie called The Jerk, which was good. It was R-rated. And I remember in 5th grade there was a magazine called Dynamite, except for kids, that did a story about that. It was bizarre that they covered an R-rated movie. I saw it on TV, and then I saw it, the regular cut. I'm still surprised that got R rating. It had been right on the borderline. That's one of those weird cases that should have been PG, but it was R. It had been right tap dance between the two. Yeah, I've been a big Steve Martin fan for a long time. And I remember there was one of the biggest debates my dad ever had and I ever had on movies that my sister, my dad and I ever had was in the 90s, I think 1990. I remember seeing, he had 2 movies, Father of the Bride and L.A. Story. I missed Father of the Bride right at first at the theater, but I did see L.A. Story at the theater. I loved it, the military theater. And then I saw Father of the Bride at when I got home on leave for a few days. And I remember my dad said he hated L.A. Story and loved Father of the Bride. I thought I loved L.A. Story. I really enjoyed Father of the Bride. I thought L.A. Story was a better movie than Father of the Bride, but I love both movies. But my dad, he hated L.A. Story. My sister hated L.A. Story, and they loved Father of the Bride. So that was a big debate on that. And like ever since then, like in like the 80s and stuff like that, in the 90s, as Steve Martin's humor's kind of changed somewhat. I mean, it's still like. It's nowhere near as zany as it used to be. He used to be the guy with the arrow through his head going, well, excuse me. Like that. I remember that's classic. And he's changed. The last time, I haven't seen Steve Martin in a while. Last time I saw him, I remember it was either when him and Alex Baldwin, they teamed up together, and they were really good hosting the Oscars. They were very funny. And then they were like saying, in this section right here, we have the Inglourious Bastards. In this section right here, we have the cast from the film. Jokes like that. And it was either that or I think most recently I think he got a Mark Twain Award. And that was on PBS The Special. And I think that might have been the last time I saw him. Was the Mark Twain Award. But I'm not sure if that came... I'm not sure what I saw first. I'm not sure. Now with Martin Short, I first found out about Martin Short when he was in second season of SCTV on NBC, and he really brought a new life into it. He was kind of like a Canadian Jim Carrey. He's always full of life, and his comedic stuff pretty much stayed the same even now. And he was very funny with characters like Ed Grimley and stuff. And then he went on to he was on a cast of Saturday Night Live from 84 to 85. I think it was 84 to 85, and that's when they had like they opened up their wallets and had like a bunch of big name talent like Billy Crystal and stuff on there. You know, they didn't have like Discovery. They had like established comedians on that season. And it was a great season too. Christopher Guest was on there, and I can't remember who else, but I mean a lot of really good people on there. And then the last time I saw Martin Short was a show called Maya and Marty that was on NBC. And the first episode, I thought it would just be good for a review. I didn't know if it would be good or be good bad. The first episode was fantastic. They had some really funny stuff in there, and then it kind of winding down, and they had some really stupid skits on there. But he still did Jiminy Glick character, which was awesome. But I hope you like this review. I really enjoyed the Martin Short, Steve Martin and Martin Short special. It says, even if you forget for the rest of your life. I forget the title, though. You know, and then whenever Steve Martin was talking about how expensive the tickets were, that got me curious. Because they're talking about them touring all over. And I wanted to look on internet and see how much the tickets were. I mean, they say expensive. And I looked at one venue, August 31st, and it said like row 6 were like $51 or $52, and the front row tickets were like $101. So, well, that's kind of pricey. I know that Jeff Dunham was really expensive when I went to see them. Well, I didn't go see them, but they talked about them though. Let me see something. I'm trying to. Let me see something. Oh. Understand. Oh well. Okay, so that's my review. I hope you like it. I'm gonna put this up today. I wasn't planning on putting up anything else today. And I gotta rearrange some stuff because I'm doing a massive collab video for Thursday. And I gotta rearrange the stuff I already have scheduled for Thursday. So I hope you like this video, everybody. Until next time, please take care of my legion. Thank you, John, for letting me know about this special.